Hi guys, welcome back to my Gold Rush Trail Adventure Part 2. If you missed Part 1, I started my journey in Fort Langley and made my way up through some of British Columbia's most fascinating historic spots, like Yale and Cache Creek, following the same route thousands of hopeful prospectors took during the Cariboo Gold Rush days. Along the way, I explored some small town cafes, roadside attractions, and some incredible bits of BC history that helped shape this province. Today, we're picking up the trail in Cache Creek, often called the crossroads of British Columbia. From here, the landscape starts to shift. The rolling desert hills give way to the forested mountains of the Cariboo. This stretch is one of my favorites because it feels like you're truly stepping back in time. In this episode, we'll travel through Clinton, 100 Mile House, and Quesnel, making a few nostalgic and quirky stops along the way, including the 108-mile historic site, before ending up in Barkerville, one of Canada's most famous and best preserved Gold Rush towns. Now, I'll share some of my favorite moments from the drive, a few must-see historical spots, and what it's like exploring Barkerville today, from old-time shops to gold panning. Yes, I even tried it again, just like when I was a kid. So grab your coffee and hit that like button if you love road trips through history, and let's keep following the trail north towards Barkerville. Hi guys, I had a slight change of plans. If you watched my last video, Part 1, I paused my Gold Rush Trail road trip in Cache Creek for a break to visit friends and family in Kamloops. I had intended on driving back to Cache Creek to continue, but I couldn't resist an offer to visit a friend who was camping at North Barrier Lake Resort. So off I went to spend 2 nights off the grid, fancy camping and visiting. For breakfast at camp, I made a ham, onion, and spinach omelette in my skillet, powered by my Jackery 500. After breakfast, we went exploring in the side-by-side to check out the nearby provincial campground. It was fun to get out and tootle around in the side-by-side, wind in our hair. No, we did not have drinks in our hands. Come on, it was early morning. If you want more information about this campground, you can visit their website at northbarrierlakeresort.com, and I'll put that on the screen as well. Now later on, we relaxed in the sunshine by the lake, read, dipped in the water to cool off, and I made an easy watermelon and feta salad with ham for dinner. I didn't film much more here, just powered right down and relaxed. After 2 days of relaxing and enjoying being off the grid, I hit the road to Quesnel by way of BC's Fishing Highway, number 24, and also called the Interlakes Highway. If these names don't describe the area well enough, this area has around 100 lakes and is well known for fishing lake trout, kokanee, and rainbow. If you want to know exactly what to fish for and when, then visit the tourism website at landwithoutlimits.com. Now this road connects the Yellowhead Highway 5 to Highway 97 from Little Fort to 93 Mile, which is close to 100 Mile House. That part of my Gold Rush journey that I missed by driving this route is Cache Creek to 93 miles. So future Sherry retraced this route back to Cache Creek so I could show you all of the Gold Rush Trail in the proper order. So this video does have a lot more Gold Rush Trail history than in Part 1. So continuing on from Cache Creek, you will pass through Clinton and start seeing the mile towns, 70 Mile House, 100 Mile House, and so on. They were named for how far they were along the Cariboo Wagon Road from Lillooet. So back in the 1800s, they were roadhouses where you could swap horses, grab a meal, and maybe a bed for the night. Now they're small, friendly towns that still carry that frontier spirit. Now, gas prices. The best price gas on this route was in 100 Mile House. It was significantly less expensive than anywhere else. And I did use Gas Buddy app to research along the way as well. Not far from Cache Creek, about 15 kilometers north, which is 9.3 miles, you'll see the Painted Hills, which are a series of mineral-stained hills. Now there's a designated parking spot where you can pull out, take photos, and admire the beauty. In the fall, the multicolored leaves also help make it a spectacular view. At this same pullout, there's a stop of interest sign for the BX stagecoaches. The sign was actually stolen in 2015, which is so crazy. About 16 kilometers, 10 miles north of Clinton, a nice stop is at the viewpoint of Painted Chasm. It's a mini Grand Canyon, sort of, very, very mini, formed by lava flows and volcanic activity. Back on the road, I made a stop at the 108 Mile Historic Site. It's right off the highway with barns, wagons, and log buildings preserved from the Gold Rush era, and the gift store and heritage buildings are open for the summer season only, typically May to October. There are self-guided tours as well as guided tours for groups, and they have ghost tours. I've stopped here many times to use the washroom, but I have never stopped and explored the site. Today I am. I first had lunch, which was left over from camping that I had heated in my small crock pot, plugged into the AC outlet in my car, and by the time I arrived at 108, it was perfectly heated. Walking through this historical site, I could just picture the stagecoaches pulling up after a long, dusty ride. It's such a cool glimpse into the past. I spotted a familiar clock that is the same one that my mom has, that was my grandma's, and then another clock that my aunt has that was my grandparents'. I feel rather old when I see familiar household items like this in a museum. 108 Mile is a place with hotels, stables, telegraphs, ranches, and more stories than you might expect. The story begins in 1863 when William J. Roper claimed this land. A few years later, in 1867, he built what became the 108 Hotel, or Roadhouse, along with a stable and a shed. Today, the 108 Mile Heritage Site preserves many of those structures. You'll find the store and telegraph office, post house, schoolhouse, bunkhouse, trapper's cabin, ice house, Clydesdale barn, blacksmith's shop, and the McNeil Mansion Museum. Walking through here is like stepping into a different era. Each building tells a piece of the story. If you want to learn more about the 108 Mile Heritage Site, then jump to their website, historical.ca. A couple of fun details. The term wagon road in Cariboo Wagon Road actually has 2 G's. This spelling is historically accurate. I always thought it was a typo when I saw it until I read this. Also, the site's name 108 Mile refers back to Mile 0 of the Cariboo Wagon Road, which started in Lillooet. These are little history tidbits that help connect the dots. Now, walking around 108 Mile, you don't just see the old buildings, you feel the layers of history. From roadhouse to stage stops to ranch to heritage site, every building, every log, every telegraph wire has a story. If you visit, take your time. Peek in every building, read the plaques, imagine the people who lived and worked here. There's a pretty cool logging truck here as well. Not all of the buildings were originally on this site, but have been moved from around the area for preservation purposes. Now, after leaving 108, I continued north to Quesnel, where I stayed overnight at my sister's, and after car camping, it was nice to have a real bed and a shower, and of course, some family time. Now, while I was there, I also went to my 40th grad reunion. Seeing old classmates and catching up after so many years made this trip extra special. The Gold Rush Trail is full of history, but this was a reminder of my own history. The next morning, my mom and I went to Barkerville to explore the historic site. But really thinking about it, 40-year grad reunion. I keep thinking that the 70s were 30 years ago. So how on earth did I go to a 40th grad reunion? I don't know. Does anybody else feel that time is flying just way too quickly? This is just so bizarre. Anyways, the final stretch is Wells and Barkerville. From Quesnel, it's about an hour's drive into the Cariboo Mountains to Wells and Barkerville. I took this adventure with my mom as she hasn't been up there in a while as well. On our drive up to Barkerville, we stopped at Stanley Cemetery. It's easy to miss since the highway now bypasses the old town of Stanley, but if you take a little loop road, you'll find this historical site perched on a bench above the valley. I never noticed this site or stopped here in all the years I lived in Quesnel. The cemetery dates back to the early 1860s when gold was discovered at nearby Lightning Creek and Stanley grew into a bustling mining town. Today, the town itself is gone, but the cemetery remains as a quiet reminder of that era. What really stood out to me was the Chinese section. Most of the markers are missing because it was tradition to send remains back to China after 7 years, and there was only one grave site left in the Chinese section. It's not a long stop, but it's definitely worth pulling over for. Visiting the Stanley Cemetery gave me a sense of the lives that came before and set the tone for exploring Barkerville just up the road. Now, just before Barkerville is the charming community of Wells, a town that owes its existence to Barkerville's legacy. When the original gold rush faded, Wells rose up in the 1930s as a new mining town during the Cariboo gold quartz mine boom. Many who lived and worked in Barkerville during its heyday had descendants who later moved to Wells. I remember driving out to Wells on a regular basis when I worked for my dad, installing satellite dishes. Back then, in the late 80s, it was quite remote. I was driving the service vehicle that was a Suzuki that we called the Zucchini, and every time I shifted gears, the seat moved back. I think it was missing some bolts, but I didn't check. And it didn't look as nice as Matt's off-road Golden Nugget either. If you know, you know. Today, Wells is an artistic hub with colorful murals, cozy coffee shops, and a creative energy. It's a great base for exploring both Barkerville and the surrounding areas with a bit of a modern touch. On our way through Wells, we stopped at Frog on the Bog gift store where I bought my cowboy hat and a coffee. They're mainly open in the summer months, so please check their website for off-season hours, and I'll put the website here. And finally, Barkerville. This place is like stepping right into the 1800s. Long before the gold rush, this land was home to the Lataco Dene Nation and the Secwepemc Nation. I'm sorry if I pronounce those wrong, I'm trying my best. Along with many other indigenous nations. Their presence here stretches back more than 10,000 years. Today, Barkerville acknowledges this deep history and works to share these stories more truthfully and inclusively. The Barkerville story really took off in 1862 when William Billy Barker struck gold on Williams Creek. At the time, people thought he was crazy for not digging in the richest area near Richfield, but further away in Barkerville instead. But his persistence paid off. Chinese immigrants also played a huge role in Barkerville's story. They worked in the mines, built businesses, and established one of the largest and most historic Chinatowns in Canada. These days, Barkerville is more than just a museum. It's a living, breathing heritage town with over 125 historic buildings, shops, restaurants, and even places to stay. With live performances and interactive exhibits, you can really feel what life was like during the Cariboo Gold Rush, the people, cultures, triumphs, and the hard lessons. I used to visit Barkerville on class trips, and every time my mom would ask me to bring home a loaf of sourdough bread from the bakery, somehow by the time I got home, the soft, delicious center of the bread would be hollow. Someone nibbled on it during the school bus ride home. Was it me? I don't know. I'm not sure I should give this secret because my mom might watch this and then know what went on. And of course, I couldn't resist trying my hand at gold panning on this trip, just like I did when I was a kid. It's one of those experiences that connected me right back to the excitement of the Gold Rush days. If you're planning to visit Barkerville, then please check their website, barkerville.ca, to make sure they're open. During the winter season, the shops and restaurants are closed, but there are some fun activities to take part in with all the snow. And you can still book accommodations, I think. I read that, you can on their website, but just check the website to confirm. Mid-December, they host an old-fashioned Christmas, and in February is the Gold Rush Trail Sled Dog Mail Run. Other activities in the area are skiing and snowboarding at Troll Ski Resort. There are Nordic ski trails as well as snowmobile trails all over the place. Now I'm going to end this video here where I am stuffing my face with the largest cinnamon bun on the planet. This is from the bakery here, and I am giving it a 10 out of 10. It was so delicious. And for the record, my mom stuffed her face with one too. We decided we weren't going to share them. If you enjoyed this adventure, then I would really appreciate it if you like and subscribed and supported my channel. And I will see you in the next video. Coming up, I will be traveling from Vernon to Golden, BC, and staying at a wow Airbnb that you will want to see. And I'm also, in the next couple weeks, going on an Rocky Mountain. Should I tell you? Did I just give it away? I'm going on a Rocky Mountaineer luxury train trip. So okay, I just gave away my secret. So these are coming up. So please, I would love it if you could like and subscribe and join me on the next trip. Now, I'm no expert on BC history, but I have lived here all my life, and I did pick up a couple books to help figure out the different areas of BC that are so common to me that I didn't really even think about the history, like Barkerville. I went there as a kid and I didn't really think much about the history and the lives that lived there in the past. So anyways, I picked up A Traveler's Guide to Historic British Columbia by Rosemary Nearing, and I'll put the link, or actually I'll just put a QR code here for you to grab a copy if you want to learn more about the area. I actually am reading it. I've flagged some places that are of interest to me to go back to, or other places that I haven't been yet. And the other book that I find really fascinating that I want to do when I go all the way across Canada is Lonely Planet's Best Road Trips, and that is obviously just Canada. And in this book, I've flagged a couple things here, like just to show you the detail. They have a nice map with an index of all the contents, and then each section has pictures. It's got tips, it has more history. There is also the duration, the distance, and great, like this one. Of course, I picked the Okanagan randomly because that's where I lived, which is great for wine tours, and the best time to go. And then there's also best for fruit, fresh stone fruit, raspberries, and watermelons in season, and all sorts of things. There's different tips and tricks, places to visit, places to stop, definitely very useful, and I can't wait to use this on my road trip across Canada. If you have a local Kohl's or Chapters, that's where I bought this book, but I'll put a QR code for Amazon if you would prefer just to have it sent directly to your house. Actually, both of these books. So both are very useful. You can see I've started marking off even more places to go. And then the other one, because I've been showing you, you're going to laugh at this. This is massive. I couldn't find a smaller one that had a full map of BC. So this is huge. It's like bigger than my head. I wanted to get a small one in comparison, the size of these two books. Ooh, 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 ooh. I wanted to get a smaller one, but in the end I chose this big, huge Canada Atlas because it shows so much detail, and I'm able to trace my steps and of course do my little traveling car and show you where I've been. I know I could do the whole animated map thing and all that, but sometimes it's just nicer and easier to go back to pointing on a map.